O que acontece numa zona de guerra pode mudar uma pessoa, e eu não me refiro apenas à população atingida, vítima inocente da barbárie. Falo em quem está lá revelando ao mundo as atrocidades, a dureza, o sofrimento. O correspondente sênior da CNN, Matthew Chance, foi um dos nomes que se destacaram na cobertura do começo da guerra na Ucrânia. Ele presenciou bombardeios a áreas residenciais, se arriscou ficando frente a frente com o presidente da Ucrânia quando as tropas russas estavam prestes a entrar em Kiev e relatou ao mundo a destruição. Eu conversei com Matthew Chance sobre como foram esses dias.
Matthew estava ao vivo no alto de um prédio quando as primeiras explosões foram ouvidas em Kiev. Enquanto estava no ar, trazendo as informações sobre a invasão russa na Ucrânia, foi possível vê-lo colocando um colete à prova de balas para se prevenir de possíveis estilhaços dos bombardeios.
When I was standing on that hotel roof in Kiev and, President Putin of Russia made that speech in which he declared that he'd started a special military operation against Ukraine, and then within minutes the bombs started falling, the missile strikes started happening. You can see on my face the sort of shock, the surprise, the fear, actually, as I reported those explosions on the outskirts of the city and then sort of later struggled to get my body armor on because we didn't know whether the missiles were going to come even closer to our location. And we are here at the Antonov Air.
Era só o começo da guerra. Com o passar dos dias, os ataques russos começaram a se aproximar de áreas residenciais.
Dmitry Peskov, porta-voz do Kremlin, negou que a Rússia esteja bombardeando alvos civis. Como você que esteve na Ucrânia responderia a isso?
And I went inside the house of the family that fortunately on this occasion had escaped, injury or at least escaped death. And I went into the children's bedrooms and I saw their toys on the shelf. And I saw the family photographs still on the wall. And I saw the kitchen cupboards still, stockpiled with food that they'd gathered to try and get themselves through this terrible period in their country. And so I know for certain, I spoke to the family members as well, I know for certain it was a civilian building. And I think that short example that I witnessed with my eyes, I think you can see it repeated across Ukraine. Apparently, they've survived this, which is good.
E qual é o espírito entre o povo ucraniano? A gente vê orgulho, a gente vê colaboração, a gente vê solidariedade, mas parte dessa população ucraniana também se sente abandonada? Parte dessa população também se sente usada pelo governo ucraniano? Por exemplo, quando se coloca um menino de 18 anos para lutar sem treinamento nenhum?
The spirit of the Ukrainians that I met was very, very positive given the situation they were in. People are very angry, they're very passionate about the fact that their country has been invaded by Russian forces, and we saw what action they're prepared to take, prepared to pick up guns if they're men and go to the front lines and fight that Russian invasion. In terms of that issue about whether they're angry or feel abandoned by a government who sent their troops to the front line, honestly, I haven't seen that sentiment expressed at all, but I'm sure in some cases it may be true.
Dos marcos da cobertura do correspondente em Kiev foi a entrevista que fez com o presidente ucraniano Volodymyr Zelensky. Matthew Chance e sua equipe foram até um bunker onde o presidente estava escondido.
The time I interviewed him, he hadn't really been seen in public for some time. He'd been issuing statements on his social media page, of course, from inside his various bunkers that he has in the city. And remember back then, and it was only a few weeks ago now, remember, but back then, we all thought that Kiev was poised to be attacked and to be taken by, a force of Russian troops. Vladimir Zelensky knew very well that he was the target, or he would have been the #1 target of any Russian assault. And he said that quite openly. And he said that, and my family, he said, are the second biggest target as well, because this strategy that he believed the Russians have of decapitating the Ukrainian state basically meant killing or arresting him. And so being with him at that crucial time was inspiring in lots of ways, because this figure who was offered by several countries to be given safe passage out of Ukraine, and he decided to stay. So that was very brave of him, that he's decided to lead his country from his capital and not be cowed by the threats of the Kremlin and the threats of military action against him personally. But it's also very frightening as well, because you never know, where or when, if any kind of an attack directly on him could happen. At 25 kilometers, 15 miles or so out of the center.
Com a experiência de quem cobriu outros conflitos, ele destaca como é desolador assistir às consequências de mais uma guerra.
The poverty that is caused by the horrific shelling that's been taking place in towns and cities across Russia, the bloodshed, the heartbreak. And of course the refugees, the people who are displaced, thousands upon thousands, in fact millions of people have been displaced by the fighting in Ukraine, and it is absolutely heartbreaking to see that unfold again. In terms of how that fits into other things that we've all seen actually on the news over the course of the past 10 and 20 years, well, it's difficult to rank them, isn't it? But look, I mean, we all know very well the impact of conflict on people's lives, how it shatters people's lives. We've seen it time and again, whether it's in Afghanistan or Iraq or Chechnya or wherever else there has been a conflict that we've all witnessed, and we were reminded of it, and we can see it unfolding yet again in front of our eyes in Ukraine. And that's the real tragedy of it, I think, that we know what warfare, what conflict does to people, and we're seeing it happen yet again, Marcio.